we're fighters. The community's been through a lot with the tornado and then the flood the year before, and we just try and pull together, and it's neighbours helping neighbours, really.
Spirits seem to be improving along the Gatineau River floodplain. The water has begun to recede, though there's still lots of work ahead, drying out homes, assessing damage. It's a different story on the island of Montreal, where local councillors voted today to extend the state of emergency. Across Quebec, more than 10,000 people have been forced out of their homes.
Our government, we move quick, I think, as each and every one of you know.
The Ontario Premier Doug Ford announcing the creation of a task force to address future flooding in the Muskoka region. The province also expanded its disaster recovery program to include communities there. Homeowners can apply for financial aid, but only for principal residences, not cottages. Also today, the federal government says it's contributing $6 million to the Red Cross. It will be distributed to the worst hit flood victims across the country to a limit of $600 per family. As parts of Canada deal with more intense spring flooding, we've been looking for solutions that have worked elsewhere. And tonight, Cameron McIntosh takes us south of the border, where people found the will and the money to make some big changes.
Grand Forks, North Dakota didn't just flood. It burned. Electrical shorts caused by water more than a meter deep destroyed 11 buildings as 55,000 people were ordered out of the city. At the time, the largest mass evacuation in modern U.S. history.
So this is it. This is where it was. So this is what we saw on TV.
22 years later, John Bonser's voice still trembles talking about it.
Those were the doors to go to Bonser's. And you had to watch it burn down on TV. We did, from 80 miles away. That must have been an absolutely helpless feeling. It was. Yeah, it was.
Every day he walks past here. The waters of the infamous 1997 Red River flood of the century have long passed. Bonser has rebuilt, but the scars don't fade.
The emotional experience that was, and the emotional toll that it took on us. So we're not 100% there, but we're 95% there.
The Red River runs along the border of North Dakota and Minnesota, north into Manitoba, right through Winnipeg. Narrow and flat, when it rises, there's nothing to hold it in. It just spills. See that marker? That's the 1997 flood level.
Even in a moderate flood year, this debris shows how high up here the water can actually come. It's the reason Grand Forks and East Grand Forks decided to pull back from the river behind a series of flood walls and levees.
About 25 kilometers of them run along both sides of the river. It took 10 years and almost $500 million to design and build.
In 1997, I was the city engineer and director of public works.
Ken Vian, now a city councillor, helped lead the flood fight and recovery, which included decisions after to abandon entire neighborhoods.
The city did make some tough decisions, like, you couldn't redevelop in these areas.
Thousands of people moved to make way for levees and flood walls. Riverfront land was converted to green space. This old neighborhood is now a campground. Homes that once had riverfront views now look out at levees.
We had one opportunity to do it right, and that's what I think we accomplished.
An hour south, Fargo-Moorhead is upstream on the Red River. Here, the river is narrower but just as volatile. 10 years ago, these communities almost went under.
Fargo shut down businesses and schools for 10 straight days to fill millions of sandbags. It left the town dry but weary.
Every spring I can feel the anxiety in the community build up.
Mayor Tim Mahoney says the city can't afford another close call.
We estimate if we had a flood like Grand Forks, it would cost us $18 billion.
Fargo is bigger than Grand Forks and has bigger plans.
The first structure along the route is
a $2.7 billion dam and flood diversion channel that would run 48 kilometers around the city. It's similar in concept to Winnipeg's floodway, but it's been a tougher sell for Fargo because it hasn't lost a flood fight yet. Now, after 10 years of design and lobbying, the funding and political support is falling into place. The town even voted for a sales tax to pay for it, hoping to avoid another 2009.
It's amazing what you can do if you get people to do it. Do you want to do that effort in the future? No, it's way too much work.
The diversion project goes ahead. What does your land here look like?
It'll have water on it.
Here's the thing, to divert water, you have to put it somewhere. In this case, Matt Nessa's farm, one of several south of Fargo, soon to be expropriated.
I think it'd be almost next to impossible, or is impossible, to recreate this and find a like location like this.
Losing this land could knock them right out of farming. Making it worse, it's never actually flooded here before.
We were told from the beginning, from some of the leaders, that there's winners and losers. And we feel like obviously we know we're on the losing end of this. This is the red right here. Yep.
He's been to court, appealed to politicians and regulators, holding out hope the project can at the very least be modified. But work on the channel's inlet, halted briefly in court, is clear to resume this spring. It's a lesson that keeps hitting home in the Red River Valley. To control the water, hard choices need to be made.
What we've tried to do is work very hard with the upstream people to try to come to some resolution of some of their issues.
Today, we are a stronger, better community because we have this protection.
In Grand Forks, John Bonser doesn't fear the river, confident the city did make the right, albeit hard, choices.
You need to stick together as a community.
Coexisting with a river that dictates its own terms. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, in the North Dakota, Minnesota, Red River Valley.